Let's now welcome Professor Ben-Erik van Wyk, who's a professor in the Botany and Plant Biotechnology Department at the University of Johannesburg, to also help us understand what happened here. Prof, thank you so much for your time. What a tragic incident, right? For us to leave or have to look deeper into what wouldn't normally be something that parents worry about. So what can you tell us about this specific plant and its toxins, as well as its origins?
Yes, this plant is originally from Mexico and the northern parts of South America, and it is very poisonous, but it is a very popular ornamental plant. It grows in many gardens in South Africa. It likes tropical conditions, so it's mainly in the northern parts and in the eastern parts, the Durban area and so on. Mm-hmm. It is well known to be extremely poisonous. It contains hard glycosides, and as a result, a small amount can be fatal. It's related to the oleander plant, which is another common garden plant with the same type of poison.
And Professor, I'm sure you saw the interview there preceding hours there, residents calling for more education on this particular plant. They're saying that it's been part of the vegetation that surrounds their house, but they were not aware of its level of toxicity. So is this then common knowledge? You say some people do know about its toxic levels. Is it common knowledge then that it's not a plant that one would typically grow or have in the vicinity of their homes? I mean, we know that toddlers especially are extremely curious, and everything for them goes through the mouth as they grow and understand taste and what is actually consumable.
Yes, many plants that people grow in gardens are extremely poisonous. It's not only the yellow oleander, but I think the best thing is to keep children away from such plants. To try and eradicate all poisonous plants will be extremely difficult. But I think also awareness is important. And I know the Department of Health, they have different methods of trying to inform the public. They often distribute pamphlets to warn people of poisonous plants. But I think more can be done to avoid such tragic incidences.
Where is it? I know you mentioned areas like KZN and some rural parts of the country, Professor. Where is it mostly susceptible or likely to grow and vegetate and be part of the normal vegetation that we have around our homes? Because as you saw there, in that particular house where the incident occurred, it's actually right outside of the house, inside the premises of the yard as well. So it looks like it's a tree that's been growing right inside the yard.
Yes, this is not a natural plant in South Africa. So it is planted. In 90% of cases, you'll find that the plant has been grown and planted near the house as an ornamental plant because it's got these beautiful yellow flowers and shiny green leaves. But in some parts of Limpopo, it has actually escaped and become invasive. So it starts to propagate itself naturally in the veld. But in most cases, from Pretoria northwards, you can say, it is very, very popular as an ornamental garden plant.
And has it been identified by the relevant authorities, Professor, in the country as what you've just said, an invasive plant species? And do you think they've done inadequate campaigns to try and educate those that actually have it in their vicinity to ensure that they keep it away from people such as children?
Yeah, I think much more can be done to warn people of the dangers of poisonous plants. Fortunately, it's very few plants that are actually lethally poisonous. Yellow oleander is unfortunately one of them. Most plants, you have to eat a substantial amount to die, to kill yourself. The danger comes in where people collect marog, vegetables, green vegetables, weeds. And then they sometimes confuse edible plants with poisonous plants, such as the wild tobacco. Wild tobacco is extremely poisonous, and it's sometimes confused with some of the marog plants. So that is a case where people consume, let's say, 200 grams, and then they expose themselves to lethal levels. But in general, if you nibble on a leaf of a poisonous plant, it's very rarely fatal. It's very rarely deadly poisonous. So it's only a few species of plants that are actually lethally poisonous. And I think more can be done by maybe distributing pamphlets and at clinics, for example, to put up posters to warn people of those extremely poisonous plants. Poisoning occurs quite regularly in South Africa, actually. There's been a few cases of poisoning of infants especially, because they put everything in their mouth. They explore, they're in an exploratory phase, and that is where the tragedies occur.
Thank you so much, Professor, for that input this afternoon. That is Professor Ben-Erik van Wyk, a botany and plant biotechnology professor at the University of Johannesburg, just also cautioning some residents around the vegetation and plants that could potentially be lethal, as of course we understand 2 toddlers have died in Limpopo after they consumed that yellow oleander flower.